Welcome to the 359. I'm Alfred Ng.
I'm Dan Ackerman.
So the reviews are in for the Amazon Fire TV Cube, the latest gadget from Amazon designed to control your TV with your voice. We got our hands on it, and the quick rundown is that, the good news is you can channel surf with just your voice. The microphone does a pretty decent job at picking up your commands even over your loudspeakers. The bad news is if you have devices outside of the Fire TV, like if you have a DVR or a game console or Roku, you still can't really use your voice to control that. Dan, you were able to play with the Cube for a little bit. What were your impressions?
I did play with it yesterday, and you can actually use voice commands for a bunch of different things outside of the Fire Cube itself, but not as extensively as you would with something like a Harmony, which is really the gold standard of universal remote type devices. I did like that the voice commands, the Alexa voice commands, recognize your voice even if there was loud music playing.
It's actually good because that was the biggest thing I was skeptical about.
Right.
Yeah.
If you have a movie or music blasting and you go, Alexa, it actually heard us almost every time. So that was great. And when you're controlling stuff on the Fire Cube, which is all your video apps and things like that and Amazon stuff, great, fantastic, not a problem. It's when you want to mix it with other things in your system, whether it's your cable box or a game console, it works, but not quite as seamlessly. I feel like it doesn't have the same hooks into the commands that, let's say, a Harmony does, because when you set up your Harmony, it says, like, what brand of cable box do you have? What's the model number? And it really knows, button for button what everything is.
Yeah, so we gave it a 4 out of 5 star rating on our website. I would say it's probably like a 5 if it comes with rice, which I don't think it does. But next up, Google has released an update that shows you how much information the tech giant has on you. So after Facebook's data misuse scandal, they also released this tool to tell you how much data that it has on you. But I also remember people pointing out that Google has way more information on you than Facebook does, which makes sense. Facebook is generally just one social network, but Google has data from your Chrome browser, from Gmail, what you're looking up in Google Maps,
YouTube,
what you watch on YouTube, where you are if you're using an Android phone. And so it obviously has a much bigger data profile on you. So this update, you can find your privacy settings and the data that they have on you from Google's apps now. Right now, it's available in Gmail, but they're planning on rolling it out to Maps and Photos and all these other Google apps that are available. Is this something that you're planning on using?
I mean, I'll take a look at it, but I find there's a lot of big hype about privacy settings and privacy and information tools. And for the average consumer, they're never going to make the 3 or 4 mouse clicks required to take a look. They won't know what to look for if they do. You and I are very aware of this, but if you stop the average person in the street, they're like, "Oh, Google's tracking me. All right, what else is new?"
Yeah.
It's so complicated an issue. They just throw their hands up and say, I don't even know what to do about it.
There's always this whole thing of data apathy in the sense of it's just
exactly. That's a great term. I love that.
Where the idea is that, Google has all my information, but I also like knowing where I'm going at any time.
It's transparency theater.
Yeah. That's a pretty good way to describe it. So also the Supreme Court decided today that states can charge you for sales taxes online, even if the place you're shopping from doesn't have a physical location in that state, which was a ruling from a 1992 case that essentially had set the precedent for about more than a decade. What this really means for you and what you really need to know is that you'll probably be paying more for stuff you buy online now, which I'm sure no one is a fan of.
What's that loophole they're closing where if somebody is in a different state and you buy something, they don't know which state to charge your sales tax for, so they don't. We knew this loophole would close eventually.
Yeah, and just want to include this in breaking news this morning. Intel CEO Brian Krzanich resigned after the company's board learned of a consensual relationship with an Intel employee. The company's chief financial officer, Robert Swan, will be stepping in while they search for a new CEO. That's all the time we have for the show today. If you liked what you heard, check us out on CNET. I'm Alfred Ng.
I'm Dan Ackerman.
Thanks for listening.
Well, look at that. 4 minutes are done. All right, see you guys.
25 seconds over. We got to do it again. We got to film it.
Bastards.
What a bunch of pros.
Take two. Do it again.
All right. So, as always, thanks everybody for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and hop into the chat and pull out some questions and comments so that we can keep this conversation truck rolling. And I guess right out the gate, let's take one from Matthew Datcher, who says, will the Fire Cube accept commands if I give them to something like the Sonos Beam?
We were trying to set up something very similar to that yesterday. I'm not sure if we got it set up. I feel like external soundbar speakers are exactly the kind of thing this thing should control, but right now one of the big complaints is outside of the Fire Cube, it doesn't do volume and mute commands at all, I think. But if it doesn't right now, I feel like that's the kind of thing they would have to patch in because that's what everybody wants.
I just noticed that it has an aux port. So if I like plug that into my TV, would the Alexa audio?
No. It's
not an
it's
aux
power,
port.
HDMI, infrared, something or other, and micro USB.
Oh, that's good then.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was looking at it, I was like, why would
Yeah,
this thing
no, it
even
does it
need an aux
over.
port?
Dan, would you hold it up for us?
I'm going to hold it up for you.
There we go.
Let's see. Okay, so here's the front. Here's the top. There are some basic volume and power commands here. On the back, you've got, again, a power cable, an HDMI, an infrared port, and a micro USB. And that's basically it. I think it has a little speaker on the bottom, but most of the time you hear it through your TV, although it does have, I believe, a speaker built in.
I feel like we should start including in reviews like how easily you can leave fingerprints. On
We've
something
been
and how
doing that for
quickly it
years,
leaves
brother.
dust.
When you're here 13
I didn't see
years,
that in this
like,
review.
well, listen. When you've been here 13 years like I have, you will know that we include fingerprint information on a great many things, although it may depend on who's doing the reviewing and what they had for lunch.
Yeah, I'm 12. So
Any Scott review will have a large fingerprint section.
I'm just saying there's a ton of fingerprints on that.
Yeah.
That wasn't in the
Glossy.
review.
I'm more of a
People
matte
should know
guy. I
that.
like things that are a little matte. That's what the problem with everyone wants a touchscreen laptop, but then you have a laptop with fingerprints all over.
Yeah, just leave the Cheetos dust all over your
Yeah.
laptop. It's amazing.
All I had to take was an iced coffee, and look at that.
We have a question from Elton Mokoena. He's asking, does it have Dolby Atmos?
It's a good question. I do not know off the top of my head.
Let's see if we can pull up the review. In the meantime,
It was a long review. I just skimmed
yes.
it.
Brent Madison asks, will the Fire Cube play non-Amazon content?
Yes.
Yes.
And it'll do it right through the Cube because the Fire TV platform has Netflix and has a bunch of other video services built in. So that's the easiest way to do it.
Well, this is also different from like the Fire TV stick or anything like that in the sense that you can use this to like channel surf, right? Like normal channels.
Yes,
that you
what
would
we
have,
did
yeah.
was we switched over to, we said, Alexa, play CNN HD on cable. And it switched the input from like HDMI 2 to HDMI 1 on our test TV, turned on the cable box and was able to sometimes, not every time, correctly tune to what the channel is for us, channel 600 we tried. If we said CNN on our particular cable system, it went to the standard definition channel, which is terrible.
That's not smart
if we
at
said
all.
CNN HD, then it went to the HD channel. Or if I gave it the channel number, which I knew off the top of my head, 600, then it went to the HD. It didn't work every time. It had some trouble communicating with our cable box occasionally, but this is, day one basically for this product. So
I had this question when it was first announced, and I don't know if they, Katzmeyer tested for it or anything like that. But if I said like, "Oh, turn on like, what's the weather?" Would it turn on like the channel, like any random like weather channel? Or
no, I think it would give you the standard Alexa weather, and it might. I didn't try this. It might display the Alexa weather, app
Yeah, but like
on the screen.
maybe weather's not the best example. What if I said like turn on like sports or something like that? Would it like just go to ESPN, or would it like put on a World Cup game? Or
That's a good question. We'll hook it up and we'll find out. Wait, we had a TV back here. Let's hook it up and
Yeah.
find out. I don't think we have any Wi-Fi in here. But I was able to do, everyone says, oh, there's no YouTube on the Fire platform. There's actually a helper app you can get that will basically serve up YouTube inside the Silk browser.
Yeah.
But it's actually a fairly seamless experience, and it worked really well. And we could voice search for YouTube videos through that.
So you can go on and say like turn
Find
on the
me-
359 podcast, and it would.
If it's
play
on
that.
YouTube, yeah. What we search for a lot at home now is my son who's 6 is fascinated by videos where people eat crazy food. Like BuzzFeed has that whole tasty group,
yeah.
and they eat like the world's stinkiest fish in like a tin, the Scandinavian fish. So we had to watch tons and tons of videos of people eating surströmming, which is supposedly the world's smelliest food. Is fermented canned
It's
fish.
worse than Durin.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
wow.
much worse.
You should show him Skippy 2 Able.
What's that?
That's the LA Beast. He does eating challenges.
Oh,
Like he drank 20-year-old Crystal Pepsi once, and
okay. I've heard of that one. I've heard of that one.
vomits.
Yes.
He vomits profusely and violently in almost every episode.
I will tell you,
I think he ate a
that
cactus
when
once.
Crystal Pepsi came out, I was actually working in the beverage industry trade magazine business, so that was a big story for us. I believe I was writing about Crystal Pepsi at some point back in the 90s.
Crystal Pepsi is back in POG form. Hey, we've got an answer for Elton Mokoena. It does, in fact, have Dolby Atmos.
Okay.
As quoted from David Katzmeyer, who did the review, it has all the capabilities of the $70 Fire TV streamer, including 4K HDR video, Dolby Atmos, but it lacks the HDR 10 Plus.
Yes, but there's so little HDR content out there, and there are multiple versions of HDR. I don't know if I'd lose a ton of sleep over that. The big thing is it's basically like the Fire Stick or Firebox, but with this big Alexa voice command thing built in, and the ability to kind of control other devices. If you have your Echo hooked up and it's already doing some AV commands for you, which is very possible. It does it for a lot of things. You probably don't really need this. If you are a big Harmony guy, like myself and a lot of other people are, you don't really need this. But if you're starting from scratch and you want a finer level of control and you want that sort of smart TV experience that's a lot better than the junky smart TV apps built into your TV, then it seems pretty cool. And I think it's like $120. I mean, certainly not bad.
I don't think I'd pay for that, but
You wouldn't pay for anything. You
Yes.
never pay for anything.
I'm actually taking this home for free after, so
I'm taking this clock.
yeah.
Fine. Okay, let's take another question from Liam McBride. Does the Fire TV Cube come with a remote?
Yes.
They all do.
Yeah.
Although, if you want to do stuff with your other devices, you're going to need those remotes as well. Sometimes to do some of the functions, sometimes to tell this box basically how to use the commands. It's
Right,
like find your original remote for your whatever and hit this button on it.
And the remote also has like a microphone on it, right? So like if your speakers are really like way too loud, or if you just don't want to yell at your TV, you can always just like kind of whisper into it as if
It might. I didn't try that. It
If
might.
you're
Some of the
trying
other
to
Amazon
date
devices
it.
do have the microphone in the remote that usually works pretty well, actually.
I mean, the Amazon remote leaves a lot to be desired. It's simple, it's basic, it doesn't
super
do a whole,
simple.
there's nothing wrong with it,
Yeah.
but it's not going to ever serve as a universal remote.
No. But the voice search is okay. Like I wish my Harmony remote had a microphone in it so I could do voice search.
I'd be curious
That's one thing I'm
to
missing.
see if Amazon in the Echo app that you could put on smartphone, if they could start working in universal remote functions there.
Yes, although they don't seem to have that universal like IR blaster capability. That's the key thing.
yeah, that's like the big difference between this Cube and like other products, right? Or well, like smart TV stuff.
Yeah.
Like you can put it on a TV that's like relatively
Yeah, it's a giant.
dumb.
It's a giant blaster,
Yeah.
and that's what you need. Like with my Harmony setup, I've got like the blaster hub. I've got little micro blasters everywhere to make sure I get good
Yeah,
coverage.
That's why I never got that.
Yeah,
Also 'cause I don't want to pay for it, but
From Life Improvements, if you open Amazon in your Chrome browser, you can cast that tab in Chromecast. Is there any way to get Google Play movies or music in there?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a very good question.
I bet a cast of that would work from your browser because I've done that before with I think HBO or something that wasn't on. It was something that was not on.
It gets sticky, though.
Yeah, but it's not the best experience, but it's definitely possible. I was just casting from my browser. It's Android related, and the Fire stuff is built on Android. I was just casting from my web browser on a MacBook to a NVIDIA Shield because because now they have video content on the Sirius XM app, but only on the phone app, not on the Android TV or other apps. Only on the phone app and the web browser. So I wanted to watch some Howard Stern videos. Now that they've added those, and I just cast it from my web browser right to the Shield TV. So that Chromecast comes in handy a lot of the time.
isn't it great how fragmented everything is? And you have
That's
to
the
go.
problem. It's all a Band-Aid over extreme
I'm
fragmentation.
surprised you didn't need like 3 extra dongles to do that.
I basically shoehorned it in. I soft hacked it onto my TV when it was content not intended for TVs, but I wanted to watch the Snoop Dogg interview.
You can do that with IGTV now, probably too. I guess. Your TV would also have to be vertical because it's not horizontal yet. Oh boy.
I'm sorry, I'm old. I don't know what any Instagram stuff means.
We have enough time for just a couple more questions. Storm King is asking, is this going to replace your cable box or work with it? We've kind of covered on that, but what do you guys
yes
think?
and no. That's always a big question. If you subscribe to a OTT service, that has an app that works on this, then perhaps that could replace your cable box. Or if you just want to consume on-demand content from Netflix and Amazon and is there Hulu on Fire TV? Yeah. And those services, sure. I don't know if the Hulu TV, the live TV works on its app for this.
I don't think it does either.
But I'm sure it will someday if they want this to be a cable box replacement. All you need is a device, like Roku does this, other devices do this, that have the live TV apps that are the OTT replacement for your cable box. The problem is everyone thinks, oh, I'm going to cut cable. I'm going to save a lot of money. I'm going to get like the Hulu TV Live, DirecTV Now, or stream Sling
foolish.
TV.
Just don't
Here's
watch
the problem.
TV.
You go through, well, you know what? I'm a real-time news junkie, so I need those news channels and a few other things, a little HGTV, travel channel. As a 20-year vegetarian, I'm obsessed with watching the meatiest food shows possible. That's my secret shame.
Really?
You'll find me at home eating seitan, watching Barbecue Pitmasters or Carnival Eats.
There's something kind of beautiful about that.
It is. It's not so much forbidden
Do you
fruit
watch
as it's
it more so as like I'm better than you kind of
I
thing?
watch
or-
it as I'm just fascinated that this other world exists. I would never eat it, but I like watching it.
I wonder if like a bunch of like meat eaters watch like vegetarian shows.
There
thinking the
are
same
no good
thing.
vegetarian shows. That's the problem. So if anyone would like to put together a tour of the country's best vegetarian restaurant show,
All 5 of
as a
them.
television host with a lot of experience, please I'll call my agent.
We got a good question here from Bill Harry. All right, so what do you guys think? Does the Cube really give you anything above not having to talk to your remote?
That's an interesting question, the way it's phrased. I think voice commands really are the future of a lot of home AV and other control. The fact that you can do it out loud. You know what? If I have my Shield, my NVIDIA Shield, I can't be bothered to find that goddamn remote or the controller and talk into it. I'm just frustrated. I just want to do it out loud. I used to do it with the Kinect on the Xbox, but that never really worked. But I like the possibility of it. You could probably do almost all this through a regular Echo, just sitting in your room because it has that great far field, or a Google Assistant. That's kind of this with the IR blaster built in and some other AV functionality. That's the thing. If you have a lot of this other equipment, you don't really need this. If you're starting from scratch, it's certainly worth looking at if you're invested in that Amazon ecosystem. But I always tell people, I don't remember what life was like before we talked to our light bulbs. What kind of lives were we living? I just can't. I wouldn't even know how to turn on a light now.
I will say I've recently gotten smart bulbs and I really do enjoy
Oh
just
my
like
God.
talking to it and telling it
Turn
to turn off.
on. I mean, I can do it. Turn on different rooms, the numbered lights within each room. I do percentages now. I'm like Alexa, turn on 50%, and
It is
it's
kind of
effing brilliant.
It is kind of annoying for me though, because like the last few days I've been sick and I've had like a sore throat, and it's like I gotta turn this light on, but it also hurts for me to talk. It's so stupid.
Well, you just do the phone app and you go, "Where's the Philips app?"
No,
the
but
Philips
I
Hue
could have
app?
also just pulled the damn thing.
No. My son named the room lights in his room Easter Bunny. So he goes, "Alexa, turn off Easter Bunny when it's time to go to bed." Memorable.
That's very nice. All right, let's take one more, and we'll switch gears on the way out the door here. One more from Bill Harry. This is a great question. What do you see changing with Intel going forward?
I mean, the big question for Intel actually has nothing to do with the news today. The big question mark for Intel is what is going to happen next year? Will they lose a major customer when and if, and I'm not convinced they will, when Apple moves away from Intel chips in their laptops and desktops and moves to their own, A-series style chips, which they used to do many, many, many years ago. Then it was big news that they switched to Intel. It made MacBooks much more compatible with everything else in the universe and basically made them the default computer for a lot of people. Will Apple move away? What will that do to Intel's business? They already have, AMD and other companies snipping at their heels on other parts of the business. Can they maintain market dominance without Apple? And will Apple take that big leap of faith to move away from the Intel platform, which is just so universal? Even now when we see those Snapdragon, handful of Snapdragon laptops, they don't work that great. And there's some stuff that's just incompatible. And that's what happens when you move away from that Intel platform. That's my read on that.
Yeah, he said it much better than I could have, so I'm just gonna leave it with that.
Okay, and with that, we are just about out of time, and that's going to be it for us for the week. Thank you to Dan for coming and subbing in last second as we were a man down today.
Man down, man down.
Always our good life raft. Alfred, you want to take us out?
Yeah, sure. The 359 podcast is available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play Music, Google Podcast, the Amazon Echo, and of course, CNET.com. Thanks for listening.
Bye,
Yeehaw.
everybody. See you next week.